Heart, a victim of relentless bullying, isolates himself until a goddess offers him a chance at reincarnation in a magical world where magic dictates everything. But he is born as level 2 and cast away. Unbeknownst to everyone, his true power is immeasurable. After enduring relentless bullying at school, Heart has chosen to isolate himself from the outside world, living his life aimlessly. And in that very moment, a goddess appears before him, bestowing the news that he has been chosen for reincarnation into a world where magical prowess reigns supreme. She promises to grant him extraordinary abilities that will ease his path and enable him to relish every moment of his newfound existence. However, amidst it all, Heart yearns for just one thing: a serene and tranquil life. Spending his days immersed in anime and games, he dreams of a leisurely existence, blissfully indulging in his escapist desires. With the overpowered skills bestowed by the goddess, Heart intends to embrace a relaxed existence in the enchanting realm that awaits him, all the way from infancy. Heart comes into this world as part of the king's family, unmistakably adorned with the insignia of nobility, thus assuming the mantle of the kingdom's prince. Right off the bat, they put Heart through a magical assessment because he's born to the Flash Princess, the one who defeated the Demon King and the king himself. The king has high hopes, expecting Heart to be at least level 40, if not 50. But after the assessment, Heart's only at level 2, and to make matters worse, he doesn't even have an element. All he can do is use barrier magic. Naturally, the king is disappointed, and he's worried that if word gets out about this useless kid, his subjects will freak out. So, he has a brilliant plan. He and the princess decide to cook up a story that Heart died during childbirth, and then the king orders everyone to get rid of the baby. Heart's new life is about to be snuffed out before it even begins. He's stuck with a bunch of awful people, just like in his previous life. Even the goddess herself is plagued by concern, knowing full well that the true extent of Heart's immense power remains undiscovered by those around him. The measuring devices of that world only go up to 2 digits. His true level is 1002. Also, she forgot to give him an element. Left abandoned in the treacherous woods, Heart finds himself in a dire predicament, trapped by his feeble infant strength with no way out. However, a glimmer of hope arises as he recalls the mage's words about his potential to wield barrier magic. Determined to survive, he musters the courage to put it into practice. Remarkably, even at his tender age, he effortlessly conjures a vivid image of a cuboid barrier, tapping into the innate magic within him. The possibilities are endless. He can expand its size, imbue it with various colors. His imagination is the sole limit. Realizing he can use it on himself, Heart finds the barrier power more useful than expected. However, his relief is short-lived as a massive magical wolf appears, attacking him. Heart's sturdy barrier defends him, but his counterattacks with smaller barriers prove ineffective. He resorts to hurling trees at the wolf, to no avail. Determined, Heart levitates an entire island, shocking the wolf into begging for its life. Unbeknownst to Heart, the wolf confesses her initial intention to devour him, seeking to replenish her dwindling mana reserves. Nevertheless, she never anticipated his extraordinary strength. Heart attempts to speak, but finds himself unable to do so. The wolf, perplexed by this development, observes that his previous actions appeared to be guided by logical reasoning. Determined to communicate, Heart employs his magic to transform a barrier into a sound projection, successfully conveying his greeting to the astonished wolf. Taking the opportunity to introduce himself, Heart shares his plight of being abandoned due to his low mana levels. The wolf is taken aback, sensing an extraordinary surge of mana emanating from him, far surpassing the limits of an ordinary human. Intriguingly, she suggests the possibility that Heart may be the reincarnation of the fabled Demon King. Unwilling to disclose his previous life as a jobless shut-in, Heart seizes the chance and decides to embrace this newfound identity, introducing himself as the Demon King. As the wolf anxiously awaits Heart's next move, he assures her that he has no intention of harming her, as long as she refrains from attacking him in the future. In response, she solemnly pledges, on her honor as a proud flame Fenrir, to uphold this promise. Heart calls the wolf Flay and bids her farewell. To the wolf's astonishment, not only has her life been spared, but Heart has also granted her a new name. Unbeknownst to him, this act unknowingly forges a pact between them, binding their destinies together. Flay, overwhelmed by gratitude, swears her unwavering loyalty to Heart, dedicating herself entirely to his service. Heart attempts to explain that Flay was intended as a shortened version of her name, but she remains oblivious, consumed by her newfound bond with him. Just as Heart is about to clarify that he did not intentionally form a pact with her, they face an unexpected problem that cannot be resolved through magic alone. Heart finds himself in need of breast milk. Determined to aid her master, Flay undergoes a remarkable transformation, assuming the shape of a human girl. Heart is embarrassed to see her naked, and Flay apologizes for such a lowly sight and uses magic to dress herself. However, she quickly strips again and explains that she can only produce breast milk after mating, demanding Hart's seed. Flay is a total ditz. A while later, Flay apologizes for getting his hopes up with her thoughtless remarks. Suddenly, she hears someone approaching and wonders if she should kill them, but Hart wants to resolve it with communication, using magic to communicate with Flay directly. The man in full armor is here for the baby, but Flay instantly refuses him, explaining that Hart is now her master and belongs to her. The man reveals that a relative of his abandoned the child, and he has arrived to rescue him. Concerned for the baby's well-being, he brings along some breast milk. Hart instructs Flay to accept it. Flay completely disregards Hart's words, but instead, she accuses the man of being deceitful and orchestrating this situation, fully aware that she is unable to produce breast milk. While the matter of her breast milk holds no significance to the man, he realizes that she is unfit to raise a human child. Curious about the man's genuine concern for Hart, Flay wonders why he is so invested in their well-being. The man reveals that his wife experienced a pregnancy that ended in tragedy, as their baby never had the chance to be born. Understanding the pain of abandonment, he empathizes with Hart's situation and firmly believes that everyone deserves a chance at life. Flay is moved to tears by the heart-wrenching story, touched by the man's compassion. Acknowledging Flay's peculiar nature as a demon who has taken a human baby as her master, the man proposes a deal. If Flay insists on serving Hart, he offers to take her in as a personal attendant. Given the circumstances, Flay accepts the offer. To deceive others, the man smashes the basket and spills fake blood, ensuring that if anyone were to investigate, they would believe that Hart had fallen victim to wild beasts. After 9 years under the care of Margrave Gold, Hart has managed to establish a life for himself. Originally planning to leave once he no longer required breast milk, he finds himself drawn to stay due to the overwhelming kindness he has received. However, there is one issue that weighs on his mind: his strained relationship with his supposed sister Charlotte, who seems to harbor a dislike for him despite her adorable nature. Flay has settled comfortably into her role as the castle's attendant, with Charlotte developing a strong fondness for her. Hart observes their playful interactions, and his mother approaches him, offering words of advice. Though he claims that Charlotte's attitude doesn't bother him, his mother sees through his facade. She suggests that Charlotte's shyness around him may stem from her uncertainty about how to interact with a boy her own age. Hart ponders whether Charlotte has discovered his true age, nearing 30 years old, which would explain her behavior. In an effort to mend their relationship, his mother advises Hart to do something special for Charlotte, demonstrating his reliability as an older brother. She believes that by taking this step, Charlotte may have a change of heart. As their mother, she is determined to do everything within her power to foster a strong bond between the two siblings. Considering his status as the heir to the estate, it is crucial for Hart to develop a harmonious relationship with Charlotte, rather than isolating himself in his room for days on end. Back in his room, Hart really considers leaving the nest soon, but that means Flay coming with him, and that would make Char hate him even more, and Flay would not stay behind without him. Moreover, he fears that if he stays longer, they will begin to burden him with responsibilities and expectations. For the past 9 years, to prepare for when he has to leave, he studied barrier magic to create this robot copy, but he still can't get it to talk or move. Also, to leave without making anyone sad, he would need to make Flay's doll too. Suddenly his father knocks, and starting today he will be teaching Hart how to use a sword. He knew it. His father tells him that because of his low mana levels, he needs to develop other skills. Hart expresses his desire in shutting himself in, studying ancient magic rather than swordplay. Here his father thought he was holed up doing nothing, but he actually gave it some thought. But he still thinks it's wise to explore whether he has talent with a sword. Reluctantly, Hart agrees and takes a stance as his father, known as Earth-Shattering Warhammer, prepares to spar. Hart enhances his physical abilities with a barrier to avoid getting hurt. He surprises his father by breaking the sword upon impact, forgetting to protect it with a barrier. Encouraged by Hart's potential, his father challenges him to dodge the next attack. Hart easily evades it, leaving his father astonished. Hart feels that something is off about his level. He suspected it might be in the hundreds. Although level 77 is considered the highest for humanity, he believes his lack of an element allows him to use magic more effectively. Seeing Hart's potential, his father is delighted to continue training him and turn him into an elite warrior. That evening, the old man confides in his wife about Hart. After witnessing his power, he believes Hart could be a returned demon. Secret royal family records tell of a man who had lain with demons, and there are those who are born exhibiting demonic traits. Despite him not having horns or a tail, it's said that royal insignia holds strange powers. The secret to why Flay shows such regard towards him may lie there as well. Char doesn't believe that Hart is a demon, but she thinks, "Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this."